Thanks for tuning in to the Marvel Movie Minute.
Want to skip those pesky ads and get early access?
Become a member at truestory.fm/join and discover all the other great perks that come with it.
Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a weekly podcast in which we assemble to explore the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe 5 minutes at a time. In this, our 8th season, we're looking at Thor: The Dark World. I'm Pete Wright. Today, we're talking about minutes 91 through 95, which begins with remote-controlled science and ends with Marvel Ether Twister across the 9 realms. I'm here with Matthew Fox.
You know, Pete, I've often been told that if you don't have something good to say, don't say anything at all. I have not been practicing that philosophy. I'm going to try and practice that philosophy for these 5 minutes, and it means this is going to be a very short episode.
We're done. We're hanging it up. Look, I want to talk about something that I think is important because now we are fully into this is the video game level that I think about when I think about this movie, because you literally have the characters. This is the chase through the 9 realms, but really it seems like it's only 2 realms and they just bounce back and forth between them. But of course, in my efforts not to talk about Thor: The Dark World, I believe
there's actually at least 4 realms that they go to.
Okay, where are the 4 realms? We have Svartalfheim, the
maybe it's
Dark
just
World.
because 4. It is 4 because they go to Earth, they go to the Dark World, they go to Jotunheim. I think, isn't that the name of the ice planet world?
Great, because they have you're right.
And they go to Asgard.
They go to Asgard? I thought
we see the tendrils of the ether reaching out
go to Asgard.
To Asgard.
Yes. Right. Okay. So we got at least we've got 4. I'll give you the 4. But the video game I want to talk about is the video game Portal. Did you play Portal?
No, but I'm not I've been told some very specific things about Portal that I think cause the analogy to break down. Because I think there's a lot of connections between the two, but the thing that I was told about Portal, the kind of one very specific, like very niche thing about a video game, is that it's enjoyable. And these 5 minutes were not enjoyable.
This is
so I don't think we can make that connection.
Well, this is why I wanted to talk about it, because I think we have to make this connection, because when you get to these 5 minutes, you should skip them and go play Portal.
I like that.
These are the advocacy episodes that we are in right now. Portal, it's one of those rare video games that feels like it was made in just this single breath. It is like design elegance. There is no filler or bloat. It's just 19 test chambers of perfect pacing and wicked humor. And it just doesn't break down. You are given a gun that allows you to shoot portals that connect across space. And so it is just a puzzle game. You just are puzzling through it. And all along with you is a sociopathic AI named GLaDOS that is narrating your experience and telling you what to do and what not to do. It is perfectly balanced between absurdity and menace and portals that allow you to test the bounds of physics. And
I will say that I was in a musical duo that covered the song from the game. So drawing upon my limited knowledge, do you think it's fair to say that these 5 minutes of the movie were designed by Black Mesa?
Yeah, I think it's really, I actually think maybe more highly of Black Mesa than I do of these 5 minutes. And it's a little bit unfair, because I am, between the two of us, the advocate for parades of pixels. Sometimes I just enjoy pixel painting and watching pixels integrate with reality in this film has been in the past a better experience than trying to address the substance of the film. Is that a fair assessment of my perspective so far, do you think? Am I lying yet?
Of your perspective, yes.
Yeah. I finally found the point of exhaustion with that mentality.
I win. Pete, I have to say, this was the longest 5 minutes that I've watched.
It didn't end, right?
On 2 different occasions, I checked on it. So a little bit of how the sausage is made. Pete has done a wonderful job of breaking this whole movie down into little video clips that are 5 minutes each. So all I have to do is click on it. I don't have to worry about hitting start and stop at the exact right time. I twice checked it because I was certain that this had been like a 15-minute clip by accident, because it just went on. And so when you started this with like, let's talk about pixels, I was really worried I was going to have to reevaluate my understanding of you as someone who understood film, because I don't want to piss off all of our fans, you know? And if you're a person who's just stuck with us and you love this movie, then I just don't get you, and that's okay. But I have to feel like even the person who, can we at least agree that these 5 minutes are objectively terrible?
They're not great, but I do think that there is something to this point of exhaustion bit. Like, I feel like this movie has asked a lot of me as a member of the audience, and I've been trying to keep up. I've been trying to keep my energy up and high, and now we're at the climax. And what started last week with the exterior spaceship elevator has just led to just, it really truly is a nonsense parade. And there are things in here that I do smile at because I'm me. One, I think the 3 stops to Greenwich moment is it's absurd on purpose. It's Marvel's humor at its best. The moment I'm talking about, if you don't remember, there's a point where Thor falls out of one of these portals into the train station. He's in the underground, and he stands up, and the train doors open of one of the trains that's there, and says, "How do I get to Greenwich?" And a woman says, "This train 3 stops." And that is a sort of bone dry kind of Britishism that's shoehorned into these crazy minutes. And I don't know that it's necessarily anything more than shoehorned. It feels out of place, but these are the kinds of moments I like.
So I'm actually going to say that I think maybe my favorite moment from this movie occurs in these 5 minutes, but it adds to this feeling that I have about why I'm so disliking of the writer and the director. Because to me, one of the best things you can do is play with viewer expectation, especially when you make people feel like they're about to be disappointed and then they're not. Because Darcy, I think we've agreed on, is the best character in this movie.
Crown jewel of the movie.
So wonderful. In part because she's not just like, the phrase, "oh, you're not like other girls," is way overused and incredibly misogynistic. And there's nothing wrong with being like all other girls or all other boys or all other people of any gender whatsoever, to be very clear. But part of Darcy is that she is very offbeat, is that she doesn't fall into a lot of different tropes or things like that. And so there's a moment when this British intern, who she's clearly been flirting with, but also sees as like kind of beneath her in some ways, saves her life through physics that makes no sense whatsoever. And she's killing people who look like they're doing Cybermen from Doctor Who as a bad Halloween costume. Like, there was nothing scary about them in the slightest.
It was awful.
But he kills them, saves her life, and she goes, "Did you just save my life?" And they have that moment where it looks like they're about to kiss, and then the camera cuts away, and I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." You're really going to ruin Darcy's character by having her just be like, oh, look how besotted she is, and everything we know about Darcy is going to go away?
Yeah.
And then maybe 10 seconds later, through the magic of physics, they get whisked from one location to the other, and we see them in the classic, like, man embracing a woman, dipping her down, except it's Darcy dipping him.
Yes.
And then when Jane says, "Oh, hey, Darcy," she goes, "Jane," and drops him. And I was like, you know what? That's brilliant. That was wonderful writing and wonderful directing.
Okay.
And that's where the problem is. Because I've said before that there are times where I feel like I'm being insulted by this movie, where I feel like I'm actively being like treated like a 10-year-old, treated like there's a feeling of like, because I love Marvel, I'm going to pay for it, and you don't have to care at all. And it's easier for me to believe I want to believe that the writer and the director actually thought they were putting out a good movie and that they're just very wrong. If a 6-year-old comes to me with a finger painting that they think is the greatest thing they've ever painted because they're 6, I'm going to celebrate it. If I pay someone $500 to make me a nice icon for my website and they bring me something that looks like it was done by a 6-year-old, I'm going to be very mad. And this reminded me that they're not 6-year-olds, that they are capable of good writing and good directing, which makes everything else they've produced that much more insulting and that much more like, you really just phoned this in so dramatically. So it was such a bittersweet moment because I was like, oh, that was brilliant. How could someone who's capable of that think that any of the rest of this is acceptable?
Well, I know I'm on the record as really liking Alan Taylor's stuff in the past. And I do think that as we get into these minutes, it was probably the wrong choice for this movie. It also might be one of these infamous studio fingerprint issues, right? That this ends up being this kind of tonal patchwork that Marvel inserts when a director's natural style runs too dark. And I don't know how you could see Alan Taylor's other stuff and think, oh, he's going to be great for Marvel. He's just going to be great for Marvel. I don't know how you could see that. His background in Game of Thrones and Mad Men and, these other properties favored so much more moral weight and tragedy. And Marvel prefers rhythm and levity. And these right here are the 5 minutes that become the quintessential example of tonal whiplash. These scenes of grief and cosmic destruction immediately followed by sitcom rhythm, right? It opens with a sitcom gag where Darcy says, oh, that's so cool. Get rid of the guy with the sword, as Jane is running her remote control device and opening these portals and sending these guys into other realms. And then Darcy and Ian get taken away. By the same portal. So that kind of levity works in the moment, but because of this preference toward rhythm, we end up with these high points stuck in this moment of this morass of chasey, punchy pixels that I'm just fatigued at. I'm just fatigued.
I think you can look at it two ways. I think it is always possible to say that Marvel is to blame and the studio is to blame. And I think there's probably some truth to that.
Shared.
But I love some of those other properties. Again, I don't know who this Taylor person is, so I might be making an assumption here. But for me, there's another explanation that feels a little bit more accurate. And because at the end of the day, like it is his name on as the director, and is that person's name on as the writer, and it's at some point, if they so violate your movie, you have the right to quit. You have the right to say, this is no longer my movie. I will not stand by it. Taylor's name is on it as a director. He is standing by this movie. I'm a longtime defender. I think this is part of why it makes me so upset, is I'm a longtime defender of comic book movies, especially at a time when this movie was coming out, this was definitely the case. Marvel was massively looked down upon by the people who were making Oscar-nominated movies and prestige television, of which Mad Men and Game of Thrones definitely are, and deservedly so. They're fantastic shows. But if you ask a person who loves slapstick to write slapstick, they're probably going to write decent slapstick. If you ask someone who thinks of themselves as one of the foremost contributors to English literature of their time to write slapstick, they're probably going to phone it in because they don't take it seriously. And to me, that's what this is. And maybe it's the studio, but also it feels like a director who's probably used to doing much more highbrow stuff and is doing this for a paycheck because it's a good paycheck. And he says, you know what? These Marvel fans are stupid. They're going to take anything. I'll throw whatever I can at them and they're going to love it. And I'll put in this good Darcy joke, but they're just going to love pixels, whatever it is. And I think that's why it makes me so mad, is because that's to me what it feels like, because we know this person's capable of better. And it does not feel like there's any, like Kenneth Branagh is, I think, the exception and why it stands out so much. With Kenneth Branagh, is literally like one of the most foremost Shakespearean minds and actors and directors of our time, who also loves and adores comic book movies. And he took Thor so seriously while making it a ridiculously fun movie. A pretty bad movie, to be clear, but like he was, he made it, he believed in it in a way that I just don't feel the writer and director believe in this movie.
I think that I love that after all of our time and all of the time we've devoted to watching this, that you are so adamant that Alan Taylor is a moral antagonist to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He is.
I guess I'm a little bit more gentle on the confusion and the frustration that has to have existed between all of the vested interests. And I take issue with saying that Taylor's name is on this film, because as we know from all the Marvel movies, there is one name that's on every film, and that's Kevin Feige, right?
Sure.
If this stops with anyone, it's Kevin Feige and Louis D'Esposito. And those guys run the show, right? I imagine, and I haven't, I would love to sit down with Alan Taylor and talk about this and say, look, what is the story with how you feel about the end result of this movie? Is this the movie you expected? Is this the movie you guys set out to make? I wonder if that's true. But I don't believe that he has such disrespect for the audience. I think he was making the movie that got close to what was in his head. Do we love it? No, we don't love it. But I don't need him to be our antagonist.
See, here's why I can't say, oh, but Feige's name is on it. Because you know whose name is not on it? Patty Jenkins. Because she had the integrity to say, no, you as a studio are telling me I can't do the kind of movie I want to do literally on this movie. And she quit. Edgar Wright quit Ant-Man. John Watts walked away from Fantastic Four. We have a number of people who had integrity and were willing to say to Marvel, you're interfering too much. I don't want to do this movie. And so to me, that means that I can't excuse Taylor, because if he felt this was no longer a viable movie, he had every right to do what all those others have done and say, Marvel, I quit.
Yeah, but we can't put that on him. Who knows the reasons? Like it's a job, right? Maybe he took the job because he didn't have any other offers, and Patty Jenkins had something else that she could do. I don't know why he didn't quit the movie. People take jobs for all kinds of complex reasons. I don't think it necessarily is a sign of a lack of integrity that he didn't take this job. Or that he took the job. I'm not saying it's
a lack of integrity. I'm saying that, but then he has to stand by. If he took the job, he should have made a movie. He didn't. He phoned it in. And that's what I'm saying is if you're not able to actually give a damn about the movie you're making and the fans of the movie you're making, then walk away.
Well, it's also a 6.7 on the IMDb scale. It's vastly more than watchable for a lot of people. Like, it's very possible you and I are the anomalies in this scenario.
I mean, we're the anomalies in almost every scenario. That's not questionable. I am not, when we're talking about snobs there, I am very much putting myself in that category, to be clear. But also, I think you're correct that I'm probably focusing too much of my wrath and ire on them and not directing it against the person who I'm trying not to direct it against, which is you. It's not really wrath and ire. It's more... Because let me go back to where we started with this whole conversation about you being like, I have reached the point of exhaustion. And I do respect that. And I do honor that. And I'm glad you've got to the point that I am at. But I want to ask you this question. Do you remember the song Self-Esteem by Offspring?
No. Would you sing it for me, please?
I wrote her off for the 10th time today. Practiced all the things I would say. I'm not gonna sing the whole thing, but
I don't know. I don't know if we can afford it, but
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The point is, it's a song about a guy who's dating a woman who just keeps treating him terribly again and again and again, but he keeps taking her back because she's hot and the sex is fun, and as he says, he has no self-esteem.
Yeah.
Now, putting aside that specific diagnosis, the point is that he is in a toxic relationship and he keeps trying to get out, but he keeps going back. And I wonder sometimes when I listen to that song, what must it have been like for his friends to
Yeah.
watch him come so close to realizing the toxic relationship he's in, but then go back to it. And when he finally does break up with her, when he finally says, I have come to a point of exhaustion, I understand why they might have trouble finding. They want to have sympathy. They want to empathize, but they have trouble. And Pete, that's where I am with you.
Okay.
I'm glad you've realized this movie is terrible and that you're at your point of exhaustion, but I don't know why you weren't there 3 minutes into the
movie. All right. I understand that. I actually, I take it. And I still, Grade of Pixels, Popcorn Pete, I can take it. This one, we also have, and I just want to bring this last point up as we get toward our sort of ending points. This sequence is a start of a very frustrating Jane arc for me. Because the Jane arc here, she becomes this character who is running around and doing science with some agency, right? We may not like what she's doing because of its presentation on the screen, but the character is given something more to do than just spout science nonsense and be a victim, right?
Right.
And yet, the MCU in general never capitalizes on this evolution of Jane. By Ragnarok, she's gone. And in Love and Thunder, we reclaim her only by turning her into a literal superhero, right? Here, she's a woman doing brilliant human impossible things. And we have a start of a character that could be this avatar for awesome science. And it just whiffs it away. And it is a thing that I find really frustrating. It's kind of it's an example of this microcosm of MCU's broader issues with female leads. It's Jane and Pepper and Peggy, all sidelined until given a suit or a serum or a hammer or something, right, that makes them incredible. This is what it could have been, is a human who can stand beside the gods because of brains, and instead we end up taking them and making them have biceps.
Right. And I fully agree with you there. And it feeds into more of why I think we were both also so bothered by Selvig running around in his underwear for so long.
Yeah.
Because it further isolates him. Because in some ways, Jane is someone who is clearly not in a romantic way, but is kind of a little bit torn between her academic mentor and her romantic interest. And there's a really interesting story to be told there of her actually leaning, the way her and Selvig can together, overcome this. But instead, he's the one doing all of it, but he's doing it all in his underwear for a bad joke. And so all she does is to literally be possessed by this power that she has no real control over.
Yeah, that's it.
I think this also leads into, and this is not, I will not blame on Taylor, because I think this is a problem of an awful lot of the Marvel movies from this period forward, which is, I think once you've had the first Avengers movie, it becomes a lot harder to do solo movies. And the solo movies that I think are the best are the ones that give a very good reason why this movie is happening below the radar screen of all the other big things we've established, like the first Spider-Man movie, Ant-Man, things like that. Because at some point you have to wonder, okay, this alien ship has arrived. Where's Tony Stark? Where's, they're on the other side of the country, but they could do something. S.H.I.E.L.D. is still in existence. Winter Soldier hasn't happened. There's an awful lot of people who know that even if Selvig is running around naked at Stonehenge, that he knows things.
Well, they don't watch the BBC. They didn't see that news report.
How is no one else in S.H.I.E.L.D. noticing this convergence happening and paying attention to it all? How is it that after the entire world has experienced an alien invasion, Britain's response plan is 2 fighter planes that have no idea what to do? Yeah.
Right.
Like
that is the perennial problem of these. But I think you could make the argument that that's the perennial challenge of the comic material too, right?
Sure.
And I think we have just the way we're wired, like movies in a series are interconnected. And when that connectivity is missing, we notice it. But in comics, a standalone Thor with a universe altering foe that doesn't have Tony Stark or Captain America in it doesn't really shake our worldview, right? Because it's Thor's story. And I think that's probably what they're trying to do. Do I think it works? No, I agree with you. It's problematic for the franchise that there isn't a satisfying answer to this, to why all the Avengers weren't there. We know they can get around the world very quickly when they need to. Tony can do it, and he doesn't even need a plane. So,
well, and some level, to me, it's not even just why aren't those specific characters. It's the extent to which a lot of the Marvel movies, the idea is, imagine it's just like our normal world, except all of a sudden this hero shows up.
Yeah.
The problem with that conceit is that when it's the first time the hero shows up, it should be like our world.
Mm-hmm.
When it's the 24th, their world should be fairly different from ours.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Marvel fans, you're going to hate me for this. I am still a Marvel boy at heart. I think one of the things that the new Superman movie did brilliantly is showing a world that is fundamentally different than our own in how it reacts to things, because superheroes have existed for a while.
Yeah.
And I feel like, if I'm remembering the timeline, this was one of the first opportunities to show how does the world react to a literal alien invasion in the aftermath of a literal alien invasion of New York City. And so to me, it's one more disappointment of, this would have been a cool time to show, here's actually, like, England had a plan because they saw what happened in New York, even just say, like, okay, activate, Plan Stark or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And it can mean that just everything happens too fast for anyone to get there. But just saying like, someone call Nick Fury, something like that.
Yeah.
Activate the English version of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think would have gone so far.
That is a provocative bit of curiosity, because I wonder how much of this goes to, look, Superman changed things in these movies. Like, speaking doylistically, Superman changed things just because no one had ever thought about how to handle the things that Superman is addressing in 2025. Right. No one had thought about how to do that in Thor or the other movies that weren't mashup movies before this, right? Maybe all of these frustrations had to bubble to the surface in order for Superman to come out and have a team that understood what we're talking about here and fixed it, because I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. But I do wonder how much, if we were to go back in time and be in that writer's room and look at what they were trying to address, would that have even occurred to them at that point?
I think it's, I understand where you're coming from. I do think that Superman didn't come up with it for the first time. I think some of the MCU Spider-Man movies did a good job examining this. I think a movie that's not my favorite, but I think did a very good job with it, was Eternals. Really kind of that movie feeling like a world that was existing in an MCU world, not just our world. But
again, all of these after Thor: The Dark World, right?
Yeah,
I think they all represent like iterative improvements on a theme.
On this point, I will withdraw my criticism from Thor: The Dark World. I can be reasoned with. I will concede this point.
All right. I just need you to know, I stopped keeping score a long time ago.
And also, please understand, people who enjoy this movie, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying how I personally feel and how I think Pete should feel.
Right. The judgment, it just exists between us. Right?
If you like this movie, I love that for you.
Yes.
I just might not take your recommendations of other movies. Like, I have a very good friend who watched Attack of the Clones and thought it was a great movie. And me and my friend Paul, who's been on most of my podcasts, just kind of looked at him baffled for a few minutes, like, because we got to see the movie together. And we were like, sure. Okay, if you can enjoy this movie, then you're a better man than I Gunga Din. Well done.
Wait a minute. So liked Attack of the Clones, but you didn't specify what he was comparing it to. Did he like it better than, Yeah,
because it was just like, it was a fun movie.
Oh. Right.
And I was like, I kind of admire that. Like, I'm glad you can just enjoy it.
Yeah, bold. I mean, was he comparing it to the Phantom Menace? Because I could get behind that.
Oh, Phantom Menace is so much better.
Oh, stop. We're going to fight about this now?
Duel of the Fates. Duel of the Fates.
That's it. That's what that movie has. That's it.
Yeah. Duel of the Fates
This
versus
is how
I hate
dies.
sand.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Well, we have another podcast to do.
If only somebody had a Star Wars podcast that they could invite you on to talk about this topic.
Hey, this was awesome. We are down to it. Can you believe? I think we have. I don't know if I can make any promises about doing the credits, but I know we're doing the credit scenes. Right. I don't think we're going to make any promises about doing the credits. That might be a thing.
My friend Paul wants to volunteer just to come on and talk about the credits.
Oh, okay. Maybe we have a credits.
Yeah, well, his parents were both in movie making as like sort of fairly below the line people, and so I know he really likes talking about the credits, but also he gives him a chance to come on and talk about anything that he wants in the movies. And Paul's a great guest. So
okay, you got it. Well, but there we go. We might very well have the planets, the realms align.
To do every minute of this movie, and so I am going to do every minute. You signed. May put it this better. You signed up to have me do every minute of this movie, so I don't care how many angry emails you get from fans saying "Get Matthew off of this." I promise there's no other MCU movie I feel this way about. Like almost any other movie out there, I will find things to enjoy in, I promise.
I mean, we knew when we started Iron Man that we were one day going to have to reckon with how we feel about Thor here on the Marvel Movie Minute team. And you'll notice Andy gave up a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and there's some great movies to talk about. And like that,
there really are.
What did you think of that scene where Darcy where it looked like they're just going to have your classic romantic cute moment, and then it shows up and it's Darcy, dipping him.
Isn't it? It's a great inversion of that classic pose. It is really great. No, I have no complaints about that. And in fact, I really like that line too. Darcy, Jane, Ian, Dr. Selvig, Mew Mew. That whole thing plays. It is 5 seconds of fantastic filmmaking right in there, buried in this morass of pixels. All right.
I'm going to open it up to listener feedback because maybe, just maybe, I wonder if maybe I'm going to go seek out the Game of Thrones and Mad Men episodes that this guy Taylor directed.
Okay.
Because maybe I'm going to come back and tell you about his hidden genius that got covered up by Marvel. I don't think it's possible, but I'm going to be open to it. Maybe I'll go the other direction.
Okay. I'm here for it.
Mostly it'll keep us from talking about the movie. So
thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Thanks for being a part of the community and supporting the show. We sure appreciate you. And we will see you next week for minutes 96 through 100.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.